You so much. My name is Amy Swain Duncan. I am an alcoholic. My sobriety date is March 6th of 2010, and my favorite people are here. So these are my heroes. These are the men and women that I want to be like when I grow up. And it's a process to get there, right? And so I picked this topic because well, first, I'm not good at direction. I'm not good. That was one of my big problems when I got here is I can't follow direction. I don't think the rules apply to me. I'm always looking for an angle or shortcut, a loop in between, right? I don't want to follow the directions. And, uh, and when I got here, March 6th of 2010, beaten into a state of reasonableness, right? Just, I'm not a drunk who I should stop. I'm
No.
not that smart. I mean, the annihilation of all things worthwhile before it dawns on me that, drinking could be a problem and I should do something about it. I couldn't get off the ride, man. I was always looking for a way to beat the game, man. The great obsession of every abnormal drinker, right? It was huge in me that I would somehow control and enjoy. It was your fault. It wasn't the booze. It was his fault. It wasn't the booze. It was that booze, but not all booze. It was this booze, or it was that bar, or always, man, just struggling to place blame and continue to drink, defend my right to drink. Man, it was the hardest thing. I didn't want to give it up. And by the time I was ready to surrender, everything was gone. Everything was gone. There was nothing left. Estranged from the family, abandoned my children, did terrible harms to a lot of people, spiritually bankrupt. So, and that was the big deal, right? I know how to be poor. Yeah. And I can get real comfortable in uncomfortable situations. No car, no problem. No license, no problem. No insurance, no problem. No car, no problem. I know how to run an electric cord to the neighbor to get electricity. If I have somewhere to get indoors, I know how to be outdoors. I get real comfortable in that. But those things didn't matter when I got here. And I love our sobriety dates, and I love this phrase we use in Alcoholics Anonymous: something happened. See, March 6th of 2010, something happened in my life that is undeniable, and it's that I went 24 hours without a drink and was willing to get some help. And March 5th was no more horrific than probably comparatively a good night drinking. I didn't go to jail. I didn't get beat up. I didn't beat anybody else up. It wasn't a bad night. Like my last night out there was just Groundhog Day. It was just another day, like the years, repeating itself. But March 6th, something happened. And I believe my friend Peter says that's when a loving and merciful God separated me from alcohol. And I have this sobriety date. And to anybody here counting days or new, something's happened. Something's happened. And I don't see that miracle when I first get here. I don't recognize it. I'm just kind of floundering along. But it was time to follow directions. It was time to follow directions. It was time for that surrender. That surrender, the ego quieted down, and I said, I don't know. And it was hard for me not to know. I'm full of plans and designs. I know how to get out of jackpot situations. And I've heard in Alcoholics Anonymous, I find God at the end of me. And March 6, 2010, I'd gotten to the end of Amy. She had no more smart aleck remarks, no more ideas, no more schemes, no more direction. I was at the end of me, and I found you. And that's where God started to enter my life. So I had to follow these directions. I had to get with this piece, and thank goodness that I landed in a place that was literature based, and they put this book in my hand, and I had a sponsor in the beginning. She was tough as nails, buddy, and I was going to follow directions if I wanted to stick with her, and I wanted to stick with her. And so I started following directions. The rules started applying to Amy. And I started doing the things, and I didn't ask a lot of questions. I was afraid to ask my I thought she might, get mad. So I would just go, okay, so I stopped resisting, right? Or contempt prior to investigation. I stopped deciding what would work and what wouldn't work in my mind, the sick disease place where I make all my decisions. I stopped deciding and I let you decide and tell me what to do. And I did that. And I got real good at following directions. And as I did this, I felt this power. And I want to talk about that power a little bit because here's the deal. Our literature says it comes from within us. And I think I'd done so much out there and for so long. And I was filled with so much gunk, man. The channel was blocked, and if there was a light, if there was a purity, if there was this place for God within me, it had gotten real small and real dim, and I couldn't feel it. I couldn't feel it. And I would try to feel it and I wish to feel it. And I would think about feeling it. And I'd imagine it in my chest and in my belly and in my head. I would grasp it and I couldn't feel it. I couldn't find it. I couldn't find that thing you said was in me. And all my life, I believed I was bad and I was different than you. And there were good people and there were bad people. And I was a bad person. And that's why I couldn't feel it in me, right? But I could feel it from you. I could feel it from you. I would get near you and I could feel this love. Right? This energy, this love energy, this thing that was God. And I began to trust it. And I start going through these steps and the channel starts getting unclogged. The channel starts getting unclogged, man. And that little dim light that was crushed down in the bottom of my right pinky toe, drowned it out and smothered by pomp and circumstance and prejudice and insanity and all the things that happened. It started to kind of get a little brighter. Start to move a little further up. And this sixth sense, my sixth sense at first was, I don't think my sponsor would agree with me, if I was making a decision, and so that was my first. Would Teresa do this? Would a sober person in Alcoholics Anonymous do what I'm about to do? And I would go to meetings and say, what do sober people do? You were my guiding light. You were my moral compass. I didn't have it. And so I was relying on you and I would start to base decisions based off what I thought you might do or call you and say, hypothetically, what would you do? And then I would follow suit because I wanted what you had. And I just kept going through these motions. I had a profound spiritual experience on 6 and 7, a spiritual experience. It scared me. It wasn't a cool breeze coming off a mountaintop like Bill talked about. I was terrified. What the heck was that? But all I knew that it was God was real. That's what I came away from that with, was this undeniable reality of something bigger than me. And that came to me again at the end of me after dropping a fifth and looking on paper at me, the realization that I did this, this is my life as a sum cumulative total of all the decisions and actions I made. The blame game was over. There it was on paper in black and white. And I knew I couldn't fix that. I knew I couldn't fix it. And so I was driven to my knees in 6 and 7, where I met a spirit, an entity, a loving force. And everything began to shift because now I think it's in me. I think it's in me. I struggled to let it grow because I stopped following the directions. I was following some of the directions, but not all of the directions. And what that means for me is I avoided meditation. I didn't want to meditate. I said, I can't sit still. I don't know how. I'm not good at it. I'm going to leave it to Ali. He can tell me what God tells him in meditation. I'll write it down. You do it and tell me. I can't do it. I can't, because I would sit and my mind would race like a squirrel, ideas. My sponsor says that when I wake up, my mind goes, thank God you're up. We needed to talk. and just all the noise, and it would drive me crazy. So I avoided it. I avoided that part of the directions. I dealt with a lot of rage. I'm from Kentucky. We call it rough as cob, man. I was, every edge I had was jagged, and it was going to take your love and this relationship with this higher power that I was going to pursue to soften some of my edges. I say, I don't know if I'm nice, but I'm a lot nicer than I used to be. And that's because I've been willing to have this conscious contact with God, and that anger and all that persona, that, bravado and tough girl stuff. It's all fear. I didn't know that. We're just in place to keep little Amy safe. I thought I really did. In my mind, I was delusional. I thought I really was kind of a bad girl. Don't mess with me. It was all fear. There's a little scared 8-year-old in there that's saying, go away, stay back, don't come near me. I don't want to be hurt again. I didn't know that, right? But I'm learning these things from you guys, and through this step work and in this process. So the spirit starts to flow in, but it comes from you. I don't feel it originating in me. But what I found out is it's that piece in me that recognizes it in you. See, I thought it didn't exist in me, but it did. And it was that piece of me, that little ever so dim, spiritually bankrupt, where's God? Where's her consciousness, right? It's the part that recognized you. And it's the part that recognized truth. And it's the part that recognized love, right? And so it starts to grow because you fed into me, and it got bigger and brighter, and it grew. To some extent, we have become God conscious. We began to develop a vital sixth sense. That is a development process. Man, I like things, I thought the misconceptions I carried. I thought if I worked hard enough, if I did the steps the right way, if I moved enough chairs, if I sponsored enough women, if I read the literature, if I said enough prayers, that I would be like someone that had 20 years of sobriety at 2 years of sobriety. I'm quite the overachiever, and certainly I could find peace in this relationship if I just tried hard enough. What I've learned, and I would ask the old timers, when will I be like you? And they'd be like, well, when you get as much time as me, And I'm like, you mean it's going to take 20 years? But this is why that's so important now. I've settled into my own experience, because if I came in and got 10 years, 20 years of spiritual discipline and awakening and relationship with this power greater than me, I would have missed all the things that created. And I need all the parts that create it so that I can stand and hold on to it where I'm at. So I've learned to relax. God's not in a hurry. I'm always in a hurry. God's not in a hurry. So wherever you are in your spiritual journey, you're beautiful, perfect, amazing, good for you. But wait, there's more, right? So I can settle and I can enjoy where I'm at and what I'm understanding and what I'm seeing and what is being shown to me and taught to me, without this urgency, this created a rush to be somewhere else. And I get, because I know, right, that if I continue on this path, if I continue to follow directions, we grow. The book promises we grow in effectiveness and years from now, I might not give the same lead I give today, but I don't want to get there because I'm right here. And right here is amazing, and it's beautiful, and it's wonderful, and it's more than I could ever dream. So wherever you are, man, I hope you're right there, and I hope you love it. I hope it's amazing and wonderful and beautiful and the greatest thing you've ever seen, right? But we're not going to rest on our laurels. We're going to keep moving forward, and that's what I get to do in this deal, man. It's been years. And I try to exaggerate that. It's been about 4 years since I physically put my hands on another human being. Now, some of you might be like, oh my God, you were 10 years sober. You did that. I did. It happened. I'm not proud of it. I'm embarrassed, but I did. And I did. And I got to tell you that because I can't hide from you. I can't hide the truth of what I look like without God, what I look like in fear, what I look like in grief, what I look like when I'm not connected in conscious contact with a power greater than me. Amy will come in, and remember, Amy's scared. Amy's always been a little scared, and she's always had her dukes up, right? And I can go back to those old behaviors. That conscious contact in the beginning was like two voices. There was Amy's solution and this new spiritual thing that you were talking about. And there was a big, strong difference between Amy's idea and what you guys were talking about. And I could see how clearly separated those two thoughts were. And it was a manual effort. It wasn't automatic. It was a manual decision to choose the God one, to choose the spiritual one, to choose the way of our beautiful program. But it was a very clear choice. I still remember it. I don't forget, how I solve problems and the ego and the punkophobia and all the stuff. That's all still there. That noise is still there. I haven't forgotten those solutions, those old ideas and old behaviors. I remember them. And then I've been introduced to these new thoughts and these new ideas, and some of them don't make sense. How's going to a meeting, moving a chair, and welcoming the newcomer going to solve my big, big problems, right? But I'm going to follow directions. And I go to the meeting, and I move the chairs, and I welcome the newcomer. And this magic occurs, man. This magic occurs where my problems, they're smaller and more manageable. They're not important. They're inconsequential. When I'm knee to knee with a new woman, when I'm with you and I'm surrounded and embraced in love and fellowship, all that just fades away, man. It fades away. But in the beginning, that conscious contact there were two separate ideas, and I had to pick. I can tell you that meditate, the longer I follow these directions daily, it gradually, I love this line in our book, gradually becomes a working part of the mind. Now, I like to believe, mostly, the majority of the time, the spiritual solution comes first in its loudest and it's evident and it's most obvious. And then I can almost, if I try real hard, remember how that woman that got here on March 6, 2010, what she might have done. And I can laugh about it and I can say, it's okay, sweetheart, we've got it, but this balance shift between these old ideas, these old behaviors, these old fears where I'm running on instinct, where I'm not connected with God, where I haven't, where I still struggle with, maybe it'll work for you, but what about a girl like me? Or I'm agnostic in different areas of my life. Well, God's going to take care of this, but he's not going to take care of that, right? I want to put this great big God. It's like the genie on Aladdin. I want to see this great big God and put him in a little bitty bottle. He doesn't fit there, man. But I'll try to compartmentalize that. But it shifts and it changes. The longer I do this, the longer I walk this path, the easier the spiritual choice becomes, the louder that becomes. It gradually becomes a working part of my mind over a series of one day at a time, following the directions. I want to talk just briefly about meditation. I told you guys, I'm still not good at it. Some days I think, oh man, I think I was there for like 10 seconds. That was awesome. But it's a spiritual discipline. The brain is a muscle. I'm a nurse. The brain is a muscle. I got to exercise the muscle. So I'm going to exercise this muscle. The plethora of tools and aids and avenues and roads that that speak to meditation, especially in today's day and age. I started with YouTube. I Googled 2-minute guided meditation and thought, wonder if I can sit still and listen to something for 2 minutes, and I would work on that. And my spiritual life has taken on its own life. It's its own thing. If you're squirrely, some of our folks, man, they're spiritual giants and they study this stuff, man. They get into it. I'll spin out. I'm just not that smart. I think I was listening to Alan Watts one day. He's deep, man. I had to call Ralph. I was like, Ralph, I don't know what this dude's saying, man. I'll get squirrely. And so if you get too far off in your meditation, I want to suggest Shoemaker's poem, My Place is by the Door. And so if I go too far in, I won't hear the cries of the men and women at the door. And my place is by the door. And the other part of that, they get so kind of, it's self-obsession of the alcoholic, right? My meditation, my relationship with God, my understanding, my manifestation, my journaling, my mind. I'm like, when's the last time you gave a newcomer a ride, man. When's the last time you made some coffee in a church basement? Like, because alcoholics, man, I'm extreme one way or another. It's hard. This program is a program of action. My meditation, I love it, man. It's brought peace into my life that I can't explain. It's changed me on a cellular level. But the purpose of it is to fit me for maximum service. So I still got to be at the door, man. I still got to be making the coffee. I still got to be shaking the newcomer's hand. This is where the magic is. I always say, and I'll say tonight, the portal to the fourth dimension is behind the door marked inconvenient. And that's not all of us. It's not crowded back there. Right? Be inconvenienced, man. Go out of your way. Think of somebody else. There's nothing more spiritual you can do than give your perfect time and attention to the child of God standing in front of you in a way that you can be helpful. Nothing feels better, man. Nothing feels better. When I was doing early in recovery, I was doing 10. I was praying in 11. I was getting busy helping people. They say I 12 stomped women because I wasn't meditating. So I didn't feel compassionate and loving and connected, right? But if I'll follow the directions that I'm connected, and if I'm connected to you, I'm less likely to cuss you out. I am you and you are me. I am probably the chances of me harming you have gone way down, right? If I think you're me. Because why would I do that, man, in this world where a loving and merciful God would take a woman like me from the scrap heap of life and place me on solid ground among beautiful and fine folks like you. And gratitude is an action word, and I better display that every day, not just in my seeking of Him, God, Spirit, but also in my service to His children. But I have found much of heaven. I'm excited about where I am, man. I'm comfortable where I'm at, and I'm excited about where I'm going to go. And I know that this just keeps getting better, man. So if you're new, buckle up, Buttercup. It's the greatest show on earth, man. Follow directions, and if you're here a while and you're not feeling that, man, if you're not feeling what we're feeling here, get with somebody, because a lot of alcoholics suffer from that spiritual malady, even in sobriety. And I got to treat that every day. I never want to be a woman who used to have, and I don't want to be suicidal or homicidal ever again in my life. And I've been both. I like this place we exist. And I want to stay here with you, but a price must be paid. It's good work, and I'm grossly overpaid for any service I might do in Alcoholics Anonymous. And I love you all, and I want to hear from you guys. I'm so glad to see everybody. Thank you for inviting me. I love you, my friends.
Family, Alcoholic Tracy. Wow. Thank you so much, Amy. I got so many notes, and I never before, it occurred to me, and this is why I need to stay connected. Spot it, you got it also means that if I spot your character assets, I have those too. Like, it never occurred to me. I focused in on so much of the negative of spot it, you got it. Like, if I see somebody's a gossip or this or that, because I got it, but it never occurred to me until, like, you mentioned, like, I see like that spiritual light in you because I have it too. And that just like, whoa, spot it, you got it also works in the positive way. Like what? Like, new pair of glasses. Like, wow. Like, I've got the chills like never before, like by the grace of God. And this isn't to toot my horn. It's just like God took an alcoholic like me and gave me like gave me a little over 20 something months of sobriety of 24 hours. And that's not to toot my horn. It's all God. And it just occurred to me that spot it, you got it means that I can spot the good qualities that I see in other people, but it's because I have it too. It occurred to me because I sit in negative ego so much, and that, increasing the God consciousness, means that I don't have to let the ghost of my old ways possess the being that I am today. And I love that you said being inconvenienced is the way to be in the fourth dimension. So thank you. I just wanted to, like, that never occurred to me. How did it
Tracy, you got a question for Amy?
I apologize.
That's okay.
It wasn't.
I love that you're excited. You got a question for Amy? If you don't, that's okay. You had a beautiful share.
I guess I don't. I was just
Thank you for being here. Love you. You're welcome. Mr. White.
My name is Ralph White. I'm an alcoholic. Where you at, Amy? I gotta find you. Well, there you are. You know you're my favorite, but you know I'm lying because Alice is gonna say, "Wait a minute," and then Teresa's gonna say, "Wait a minute." That's right. That's how we do. You know, you my current. Oh my God, you radiate. You radiate now, girl. If nobody tells you, because we can't see ourselves. You know, I've been watching. I've seen you've always been powerful. You've been powerful rough. You know, you've been powerful jacket. You've been powerful coming in hot. You know, but you are blossomed. I mean, I'm blown away. Insightful, thoughtful, wise. Be where you are. And of course, I got a question. You know, because you gave a lot and you shine bright. But I'm going to ask you, and it's probably twofold. When the last time you've been scared? When have you been shook? And what did you do?
It was yesterday. I have a teenage granddaughter, and there is a young man in his early 20s that has decided this is the age group that he'd like to date. And that's my trigger, right? Those are my points. Those are the places where, buddy, you can see Amy come loose, you know, defending my children, my issues with men. I mean, here is the stage is set. And my daughter called and she said, "Mama, this man doesn't follow me down the street. I pulled over. He pulled over. I got off an exit. He got off an exit." She's calling Mama. But she's looking for old Mama. She's looking for the Mama you said, Mama getting ready to where you follow him, so don't lose him. Here I come. That's what she's calling. And thank God, I had a sponsee in the car, a new woman. We were getting ready to do her third step and go to a meeting, and I'm like, oh, and I said to my daughter, I said, "Baby girl, I have a sponsee with me, and I'm getting ready to go to a meeting, and I need to go to this meeting, and then I'm gonna call my sponsor, and then I'm gonna call you back." And that's what, and I didn't. Now, God, y'all pray for Mr. Duncan. He's trying to get people's names, addresses, car, everything. We're gonna pray for Mr. Duncan, but my husband, he's ready to go. But yeah, I was scared yesterday. But again, like I didn't have the solution. I had a solution, probably, but it wasn't the right solution. But that's what I was talking about. I recognize that doesn't work in this spiritual place where I live, this place where God's taken me. That's not useful, right? We can't harm us. I'm hearing all that. And I don't know what the right answer is because the situation is, kind of complicated. But what I do know is I'm going to go to this meeting. I'm going to sit with y'all for an hour. I'm gonna be in the solution. I'm gonna drop this sponsee off, and then I'm gonna call my sponsor and other members of Alcoholics Anonymous. Our book says we talk to each other and reason things out. The meditation allows me to pause so I can come up with those next moves instead of just that knee jerk, a reaction to life. Now meditation allows me an opportunity to respond to life through the pause. But yeah, I can't believe you said it. Yes, yesterday. And you know what? I didn't, the little boy fine, the young man, he's fine. And nothing happened to him. And last night I got on my knees and I prayed for him. And that's not the same woman that walked in these rooms. Pray for who? I genuinely recognize that man as a child of God who is, whatever he needs the Lord. but I was able to pray for him and not do anything to him.
Ralph, thank you for a beautiful question. And Amy,
I love you, Ralph White. You know that.
You got to be your favorite, though, Amy. Okay, Nash, come on in.
Hi, everybody. Nash Alcoholic. Amy, thank you. My question is in regards to staying in the here and now of the program and being grateful for where your life is at this particular moment. As good as I'm getting now, I still want more, and I have my vision of where I want to be and how I'm going to get there. And how do you stay in the here and now? Is it a combination of meditation, prayer? Is there something that works for you that I can't, I can maybe practice?
It literally is a practice. So repetition, right? Read the doctor's opinion, read the Ford to the first edition, everything in our program, we hear over and over and over again, right? And so it's a repetition. And my sponsees know when they call and they're spinning, because we spin, I always say, baby girl, where are your feet? I need you to stay where your feet are. Don't leave them. You're going to need them. Just stay right there on top of them. But that is reinforced in everything you hear. I hear people say, God exists in the now. If I go to the past, I've gone alone. If I go into the future, I'm by myself. To that conscious contact, God exists in the now. And so just in my breath brings me to the now. If I start worrying about the future or regretting the past, I can do a breath. I can do a prayer. Lord, just keep me here with you. You see my sponsor, when I got sober, said, we're going to quit 2 jobs that you think you're good at. And I said, okay. She said, you're going to resign from fortune telling. I said, what? She said, I know what they're going to say. I know what they're going to do. I know what's going to happen. She said, that's not true. You are not a psychic. You are not a seer. Are you? You're not. Because if you are, give me them lottery numbers. The truth is, you are not a fortune teller. So stop, retire. And the other was time traveler. She said, you sitting here, but you're 3 months ahead or 6 months. You are not equipped for time travel. And I hear her in my head all the time when I go, like, there I go, fortune telling, time traveling. Like, I gotta, and then these are not gifts the Lord has given me. I honestly am not qualified for either of those things. And I have to remind myself of that, so that I'll just stay right here in the now where my feet are. And mostly it's because God, may you find him now. It's where he lives. He lives in the now. It's a location. And I need to be with God to be safe.
Thank you, Amy. Calvin?
Hello, everybody. My name is Calvin. I'm an alcoholic. And thank you, Amy, for a powerful message. I really enjoyed your talk tonight. And when you talked about people who meditate a lot, and they won't give a person the ride to a meeting, that touched me, right? That touched me. I'm so heavenly. And I've been in that place. I'm so heavenly bound. I'm no earthly good. And I thought about that when you said that. And I appreciate your talk tonight. And thank you for coming tonight and sharing. Thank you, Amy.
Calvin, thank you. And congratulations on your sobriety.
Thank you.
Happy 38, Calvin. Jared, please come in.
There we go. Cheers. Hi guys. Thank you so much, Amy. Thank you so much for having me. Is almost 2 a.m. I noticed it's a Canadian email. I just emailed. My point is, I'm now, I guess, 3 days sober. So I'm very happy to be here. I'm very happy to hear the message that Amy had and the rest of you have been sharing. I'm being too loud, probably. My question to you, Amy, and one thing struck me. I made a number of notes. The one thing I would like to ask you is, my name is Jared. I'm an alcoholic, because I wrote that one down too. I am you, you are me. I've had this overwhelming sensation for most of my life that the golden rule is great in every aspect of the word, even though I've been agnostic myself in more or less most of my dealings. The golden rule makes a lot of sense, because what if the other person was me? And so I'd like you to just, because I have my own obviously opinions on that phrase that you said out loud. I'd like you to explain where you became familiar with that sensation, I guess.
Thank you, Jared. Congratulations on 3 days. That's amazing. So the ego causes separation. That's the ego's job, right? The ego is always like scanning the horizon for its next battle, right? A hilltop it can die on, right? And so the ego immediately says, I am different than you. They don't understand. I'm all alone, right? So it causes separation. It's what it does. I got sober in a women's homeless shelter. And I don't know if you know anything about women, Jared, but we can be pretty petty and catty, and oftentimes to one another. And so to kind of dispel us from doing that, they would say, I am her and she is me. And so that when a woman was in front of me, I'm her and she is me. So now we're connected now. And so it began, the seeds of those thoughts and ideas, recognizing connection, was put into me, right? And over the years, like I said, through the following the instructions, working the steps, clearing out the garbage, I'm able to connect with people more and see us all. And our literature speaks to it. You know, we're all God's kids, right? And everybody's got a right to be here. And there's a bit of bad in the best of us, and there's a bit of good in the worst of us. And just kind of leveling the playing field. Our book talks about walking shoulder to shoulder. Right? Means I'm not higher than, I'm not less than, I'm shoulder to shoulder. And one of the greatest phrases I've been using in meditation now, there is no us and them. There is only us. And we're the human race, man. That's it. That's who we all are at the end of the day. No matter how the ego wants to, or society, no matter what, the separations, the delusional things that separate us, at the end of all things, we are the human race. And how can I be a shoulder to shoulder member of this worldwide fellowship and in the world? How can I be somebody who brings peace and not division? How can I bring somebody who, in the St. Francis prayer, we're going to read that. It's a big part of what we do in Alcoholics Anonymous, fitting myself for maximum service, the humility it takes to quiet the ego, that I don't have to be better than you, and I'm certainly not less than you, but that I am her, she is me, and I am you and you are me, and there is no us and them, there is only us. And it creates a kinder world for me to live in. I hope that answered that a little bit.
Jared, welcome to your new life. And Amy, thank you for a beautiful answer. Linda cannot put her virtual hand up, but Linda, you're up next. Please come on in.
Hi, Lydia, alcoholic. Amy, thank you so much for your share. I got so much out of it. And I do have a question. So in step 11, it talks about thought through prayer and meditation to improve our conscious contact with God as we understood him, praying only for the knowledge of his will for us and the power to carry that out. You mentioned inconvenience. You mentioned inconvenience. My question to you is, what would you say to the newcomer, right? This is how I see it. My prayer is an opportunity to talk to God, and meditation is an opportunity to listen. What would you say to the newcomer who might think that prayer might be the only way to improve the conscious contact with God? Why is meditation so important to improve that?
So, you hear it all the time. Prayer is me talking to God, and meditation is listening. For me, I don't know. God speaks to me through people. I don't get, visions or anything when I'm meditating. For me, meditation is about quieting the mind and being still. There's a stillness that's required. for me to move effectively in this world. Because, like Ralph said, I come in hot. I come in fast. I'm always, it's my personality, very personality disorder. I don't know, but I tend to run at 150, and meditation allows me to slow down. Right. And in our prayer meditation, in our talks about we pause when agitated or doubtful. I could not pause. There was no pause. I would overshoot the pause. Like event, kill somebody. Like there was no pause. There was no 0 to 60. And so the meditation is a practice for me of being still, of a stillness and allowing to just sit in a peace, right? In a safe place, and it brings me comforts, like swaddling a baby. Like I'm okay right here, and I need that 3, 5, 15 minutes in a day, so that I can move effectively, to the best of my ability in this world. And I think especially when we first come in, I mean, it's stop not drinking is. It's not easy. And especially those first few years of sobriety, I'm trying to learn a new language and set aside old ideas and who am I and who are you and where do I fit, and making things right with the people who's I've harmed, and, rebuilding a career, reestablishing a society. I mean, there's a lot going on, man, and phone calls and responsibilities, things I ain't been doing in a while. And now they're on me. Got to be at this meeting early, set up chairs, got to meet them, got to do that, got to go to the doctor, and, meditation just allows this place where I can be quiet and calm and sit in God's time. He's not in a hurry, right? And I have nowhere to be, and I can just sit. So it's a quieting of the mind that allows for the pause, that allows me to take it down a few notches, so that I don't come in hot or step on the toes of my fellows without even realizing it, and so that I can absorb information and follow directions. Does that make sense? Thank you for your question, Lydia.
Thank you, Lydia. I apologize for misreading your name. Maria, I've asked you to please turn your camera on so you can come in, and in the meantime, and there you are. Come on in. You're still muted, sweet.
Good evening, everyone. I'm Maria, alcoholic. I want to thank the Fellowship of the Spirit for always having an amazing meeting. I'm a newcomer to this group, and I gotta tell you all that Amy, thank you for sharing with me, with us tonight. And I love when you say I found God at the end of me. And my question is, the end of me, when we walk in sobriety, and it's very challenged spiritually, very challenged. And I just don't know what to do with that many times. I'm following the directions and I'm keeping the ground where I am, but it still is very challenged. It's almost like fighting an enemy. And is there any suggestion that you could give me? Thank you.
Yeah. Thank you so much, Ria. Congratulations on your sobriety. Early recovery is uncomfortable. And not that sober people don't get uncomfortable. We get uncomfortable, but we know it's going to end. In the beginning, like I always say, I hung out with people that were like, hey, I'm so glad to be sober. And I just thought, what were you drinking? This doesn't feel good. Man, I did not. This is why I drank, is because sober feels awful. My mind's racing. I'm depressed. I'm having mood swings. I don't know what's going to happen next. I'm riddled in fear. Man, I need ease and comfort. I drink because sober doesn't feel good. So our steps are outlined so that sober starts feeling good. right? But I got to do that step work. I got to clear that channel. I got to work the program. But I did not feel real good the first year I was sober. I tell people some days I stay sober because I never want to get sober again. That was a rough year, man. It was because I wasn't convinced it would work for me. I'm just hoping, I wasn't convinced that I would have this relationship. I'm just hoping, because I'm out of ideas. I'm at the end of Amy, and Your Way was all I had left to try. But it was uncomfortable and it didn't always feel good. But I knew that if I would look ahead. I mean, there's a line in our book that says I was sold, right? I was sold on a set of ideas. Our Silkworth writes, you can rely absolutely on anything these men say about themselves. And I believe that. And I had a home group and those people looked happy. And I believed that if I did what they did, then maybe, just maybe, I would be happy too. So I persisted. Right. I hung on even when it was uncomfortable. I talked to people. I went to meetings. I moved chairs. There's something real cathartic about moving a chair. If you can get to a meeting early and set up chairs, or stay after the meeting, put chairs up, you'll meet some great people. And that action, move a muscle, change a thought, it would get me through. And sometimes it was 1 hour at a time, or this meeting to that meeting, or breakfast to lunch. And then at night I would go to bed. And I did try early to really start developing a attitude of gratitude. Even though it might have been a crazy day and I felt bad and I was unsure, I knew that that day I had was a good day compared to the days I had before I quit drinking. And so I started being grateful for my sobriety, and grateful for a place to stay, and grateful for friends to talk to, and grateful for meetings, and grateful for solutions. And it gradually began to change. But I just encourage you to hang in there. It does get better. And my dad told me to do this when he said on a calendar, if it's a good day, put a smiley face. And if it was a bad day, put a little frown or whatever. Or if it was a half good day and a half bad day, he said, because what happens to that alcoholic brain, when you have a bad day, you're going to go, it's always like this. It never gets better, right? But there's the proof. You can look back and you're like, oh, wait, no, I've had really good days. This is just one bad day or one bad part of a day. And it because I have a magic magnifying mind, right? And so I got to keep things in reality, and I have to monitor my perspective of what is occurring. So good luck. And I hope you're sober a whole long time.
I am afraid that we have run out of time. We've got 2 minutes left. There's no way to get all 3 people in 2 minutes. So I don't even know what to do. I feel so bad. I think I'm going to turn the meeting back over to Teresa because we're out of time. Ooh, that was good. I'm sorry, y'all. Forgive me. Column